I should have never come back to Everest. Even now, as I record this, my fingers tremble and the wind hisses through the thin nylon of the tent like a whispering mouth. I keep telling myself the markings outside weren't there yesterday, but the truth is, I don't remember closing my eyes at all. Sleep here feels like drowning, brief, black seconds between long stretches of staring at the glowing tent walls and listening to something move just beyond the snow. When I signed up for the Everest Camp survival tour, it was supposed to be a once-in-a-lifetime challenge, a personal exorcism of my fear of heights and cold. We were 6 climbers at first, plus a Sherpa guide. By the time we reached the high camp, a storm had rolled in like an iron curtain. The others decided to descend. I stayed. I told them I wanted to film the night sky above the summit, but really I just wanted to be alone with the mountain. Now I'm not alone. The mountain at night isn't silent, it's alive. The snow squeaks under invisible weight. The air tastes metallic like a coin pressed against the tongue. From the ridge above, a faint humming drifts down, rising and falling like a chant without words. Each time the wind pauses, the humming stays. I unzip the tent and peek out. The moon hangs low and swollen, casting a ghostly sheen over the slope. My breath crystallizes instantly. The snow around the tent is etched with symbols, circles intersected by crooked lines, crude stars with too many points. They stretch out like a map leading up toward the peak. I know for certain these marks weren't here when I pitched camp. The Sherpa had warned me before leaving. Never stay alone. Mountain listens. I'd laughed it off, thinking it was folklore meant to spook tourists. But the marks, the humming, the way the shadows move even when nothing else does, it's not folklore. It's happening. I retreat inside and zip the tent shut. The red fabric glows around me like a heart filled with blood. My breath sounds too loud. My headlamp flickers once, twice, then steadies. The temperature inside drops another degree, though there's no draft. And then softly, something brushes against the nylon from the outside. Not a hand, not an animal paw. It's too slow, too deliberate, sliding from one corner to the next, as if tracing the seams of the tent. I whisper to myself to stay calm, to breathe. Maybe it's the wind, maybe it's just my nerves. But deep down, I know I've crossed some invisible threshold on this mountain, and the mountain knows my name. I don't know how long I stayed frozen in that crouch, listening to the fabric of the tent whisper under that slow movement. The scratching stopped, but the air inside felt thicker, almost liquid, like I was breathing melted snow. My ears rang, then went silent, then rang again, as if pressure were shifting around me. When I finally dared to unzip the tent a few inches, the night had changed. The symbols in the snow had multiplied. They weren't just around my tent anymore. They formed a spiral stretching outward, their grooves deeper, the edges of the snow faintly glowing blue-white like cold embers. The humming from the ridge had grown into a layered sound, many voices speaking at once but without language, only rhythm. It pulsed in my chest like a second heartbeat. I told myself to pack, to get off the mountain before dawn, but when I reached for my pack, the zipper was frozen solid. The inside of the tent smelled wrong, ozone, like after a lightning strike, mixed with something sweet and rotting, a scent that made my stomach turn. My headlamp flickered again and died, leaving only the dim red glow from the thin fabric walls. Then I saw the shadow. It wasn't cast by me or by anything in the tent. It was on the snow outside, moving along the spiral, tall and hunched, arms too long. It stopped at each symbol and seemed to press its hands or claws against them, making a sound like ice cracking on a lake. Each time it did, the air inside the tent grew colder until my teeth chattered uncontrollably. I wanted to call out for help, but who would hear me? The satellite phone was dead. My camera was dead. Everything that needed power was dead. Only the mountain breathed. The shape circled closer. Through the thin tent wall, I could see it leaning, tilting its head as though listening. Then a whisper, not the wind, slid under the fabric. It wasn't in English. It wasn't in any language I knew. Yet somehow I understood it. It said, "Open." My hands moved before my mind could stop them. I unzipped the tent a few inches, and the smell of ozone slammed into me. The snow outside looked deeper than before, as if the mountain had shifted, burying everything except the tent. The spiral now led not upward, but downward, like a funnel carved into the ice, its center a black pit where the symbols converged. I crawled out into the open, my breath harsh, frost forming on my eyelashes. The figure was gone. Only footprints, if you could call them that, remained, wide and clawed, leading into the pit. The humming had stopped. In its place came a low, slow breathing from below the ice. That's when I realized the spiral wasn't a warning, it was a door. And I had already stepped over the threshold. I stood at the edge of the spiral, staring into the pit. It wasn't just darkness, it was a depth that pulled at my eyes, making me dizzy. The snow around the hole trembled like a heartbeat. The breathing from below rose and fell, slow and enormous, as though the mountain itself were sleeping and I had woken it. I should have run, but my legs no longer felt like my own. The wind had died completely, leaving a silence so deep it swallowed every sound I made. Even my breath vanished in it. A voice, not a whisper this time, but a vibration inside my skull, spoke one word, stretched and echoing: descend. The ice at my feet cracked. Thin blue veins of light spread outward from the pit, tracing the spiral. The symbols began to sink, as if melting into the snow. My boots slid forward without me moving them. I clawed at the ground, but my gloves met only powder, cold and weightless. The mountain had me. I fell. There was no sensation of falling, only a moment of floating, my stomach curling into my throat, and then a slow drift through a tunnel of ice. The walls were etched with more symbols, thousands of them, glowing faintly like constellations. They turned as I passed, aligning into shapes, faces, eyes that blinked open and shut. The deeper I went, the warmer it became, and the air thickened with that metallic sweetness until I gagged. Finally, I landed on something soft, snow that wasn't snow. It gave under my weight like flesh. Around me, pillars of ice rose like ribs, and between them shapes moved, dark silhouettes, long-limbed, crawling on all fours. They whispered in unison, the same rhythm from above, but now it had words. They weren't speaking to each other. They were speaking to me. Stay, stay, stay. One of them crawled closer. Its skin was the color of frozen stone, but its eyes burned like two pinpoints of dying stars. Its mouth didn't move, yet I heard it inside my skull. We have always been here. You climbed to reach the sky and opened the door to the root. It reached out a hand, if you could call it that, and touched my shoulder. The cold was absolute, a sharp needle of ice sinking into my bones. Memories cracked like glass. I saw flashes of other climbers, other tents, other spirals carved in snow. Each face pale, open-mouthed, sinking into the pit just like me. I screamed, but no sound came out. The creature tilted its head, curious, then pressed its palm harder. My vision blurred. Above me, through a shaft of ice, I saw the summit glowing faintly in moonlight. My tent, a tiny red ember, still stood there, empty. Then everything went silent. And now, if you're hearing this, if you've come to Everest Camp after me, look at the snow before you pitch your tent. The symbols are already waiting.
Subscribe to Horror Story Bar.